All right. Market Target Sarasota, Bradenton, and an update on the Market Podcast with Luke and the Short Term Shop and Christina. Christina, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I just moved offices. John and I shared an office, and he moved his out to this little shed in the backyard, which has been fantastic. So now I have an office to myself, which has been great.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, we did something similar to that when we moved into our current house and moved Avery down the road. And I'm still in the house. And then eventually I took what used to be, we were both in the house at the same time. And then I moved into what used to be her office. And now she has, it's just a never ending work from home situation. Now, that said, I have worked from home pre-COVID. I worked from home pre-COVID. And it was a nice transition because there was nothing to transition to. And then, or back to having to go back to an office. So I would assume he's got an air conditioner out there
He does. He has a little mini split. So now, like when you see him on video, I always laugh because it's like right above his head.
because
Yeah,
it's very hot where you live.
it's very hot. It's starting to cool down. It's been in the 70s. So yeah. My 5-year-old just said, it's really cold outside. And I was like, you don't even know what cold is at 70. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Weather's been wonderful where we are in the fall of the year here in 2025 in the northwest corner of Florida. Pretty far from you though. But yeah, what's been going on in your market? As a matter of fact, we were just talking, but we're about to bring up a particular house that you were talking about, and then I decided to hit record. So let's dive back into that. You were mentioning, lack of inventory, et cetera. So just bring us up to speed on what's going
Right.
on.
So our market is very different than probably any of the other markets, or I always think it is, but I don't know tons of the other markets. But houses that come on the market here, if it is not even a good deal, but if it is one that you can potentially build out the backyard, which is big here, it goes multiple offers, five, six offers. It goes over list price. So people are still like they're still getting into, situations where you're dealing with multiple offers here. So if you see a good property that comes on the market, there was one that on Sunday and it was multiple offers and is already off the market. So when something comes, it goes really quick.
Was this home
So there's
was this home priced low to, in other words, to garn?
no, and in fact, it is it technically a 3 bedroom. It was marketed, it came on as a 4 bedroom. It's not a 4 bedroom. It doesn't have it doesn't have a closet and it didn't have a window, which is, the basically the closet isn't a big deal, but the window is a big deal.
Hmm.
We have an inspection here typically, that if they see that bedroom, they would not let you count that as a bedroom, even for a short-term rental perspective. Closet, not a big deal. Window, big deal. Um, so it was marketed as a 4 bedroom, not really, yes, for short-term rental, you could potentially get away with not having a closet. So
So why does this house
anything
go so
for
fast? It doesn't sound that appealing to me.
it really wasn't. It's because of the backyard. So here, a lot of people, and I know Luke, you are not a fan of the pickleball courts, but we see that a lot here. A lot of the bigger players are coming to market here and building out, pickleball, all of the things. Um, so if there is anything with a bigger backyard, it's gone within a day or two.
And do I have to have that to compete?
Yes, no. I mean, there's definitely deals out there. Like I wrote an offer this morning, for a 3 bedroom for under 500. So there's people obviously that can build out the big backyards that are still cash flowing. So
And give us an idea of that home. Do you have like a cross street? Like I want to pull it up on a map or something. You know what I mean? Like I'd like to
yeah,
see it.
and the offer hasn't been accepted yet. So I'm
Well, and this was
getting
this
ready to
this will
submit
be
it.
released much. It'll be
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Okay,
long
cool. So
gone after
I'll be
that.
able to update you. So if you're looking, are you looking at a map?
Yeah, I got a map here. Let me see. Or if you maybe
Okay.
I got this map going on here. This is just a Google.
Yep. Ye- Yep. So if you go north, so if you go up on that map, keep going. You're gonna go a while because you're gonna get to Bradenton, which is north. So keep going, keep going, keep going.
I need to zoom out
Yep.
up in here.
So, okay, if you zoom in kind of in the area of where you're at, so basically right where it says Southern Parkway West, um,
Here.
yeah, right there. If you kind of zoom into that area yeah. So it's basically just off of this road between the 26th Street West and the 43rd Street West. It is in this neighborhood, which happens to be the city of Bradenton. And in the city of Bradenton, there are not many rules, but one of the rules that they do have is occupancy. So the house that I wrote an offer on is a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, pool house, everything brand new, like all of the big ticket items brand new. Pool 5 years, roof this year, AC maybe like 2 years ago. Everything is new in the house, like all of the big ticket items. And the house is listed at 470.
And
So which you don't really see a lot under 500.
is this a flip?
It's not a flip. It was a family that lived there that decided they just wanted to move. So they are still local to this area. Um, they've had a couple offers on the house that were under list and they didn't take them. So we'll see what happens with the offer. But 3 bedroom, 2 bath house. This one is not on a huge lot. This person is not interested in building out those big amenities. They still do really well here.
And how many days on market?
It's been on the market for 20 days, which you will see sometimes when there's not the big backyard. So if you're not trying to do all of the crazy things, you do have more options. But now there's these bigger players that are coming into the market that they are not, they're looking for 4 bedrooms and larger with big backyards. And they're building out pickleball. John and I personally have pickleball in our rentals. And so we have, true numbers of what our properties have made pre-pickleball versus after pickleball. And there is a huge difference, which honestly I was really shocked by. So
And this
um
particular house that you were looking at or that you offered on, your client offered on was,
yep.
it seems like it was a very nice home, but it's also, I'm getting the idea that it was maybe reasonably priced.
Yeah, I ran comps and it was like pretty spot on for what the comps did.
And what kind of money, what kind of gross income would you see on what was it, a 3 bedroom?
3 bedroom, 2 bath, depending on what you do for design and all of those things, it should land somewhere between 80 and 100.
And at $500,000 purchase price, that's seems to be very attractive in the current economy,
Yeah,
current market. Uh,
right.
I don't see why.
So, but I will tell you, so let's say that you have a 3 bedroom, 2 bath with the built out stuff. And if you do it correctly, we have properties that do them over 150.
Hmm. But it's going to cost you a couple hundred grand to put all that stuff in.
It's probably, I would say anywhere between 60 and 80 grand to do. We do turf, pickleball, mini putt, um, lots of turf. The turf is where the real cost comes in. So
Really?
pickleball here is probably 14,000. And then, the other things, if we put like a big kids, swing set playhouse type
So I
thing.
put 80 grand worth of this stuff, which of course you understand I don't like these things
I know, I know,
personally. I put 80 grand
I
worth
know.
of these things in my backyard. Is my house worth 100 grand more or 80 grand more or 150 grand more or not at all?
So from an appraiser standpoint, like so John and I had bought a property and we had it reappraised and they did call those items out and give us more money for those things, which I,
Was
I
it,
can share with you offline. But
was it as much as you spent on them?
to be honest, I don't think I really expected that to even happen.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. So you're
So
just doing it for rental income. And if we are going to do this
rental income
pickleball and all this
for
stuff,
not resale.
this needs to be a home we're planning to keep for a long time.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And what else are we coming to the area for? Are these folks coming to the beach?
Yes. So I would say, we're getting a lot that come to the beach. And then we also have IMG Academy here, which is a big sports complex. It's actually, there's a lot of professional athletes that will come to IMG Academy. So we get a lot of people that come here for that. So we'll get a lot of families that are bringing their kids here basically to play some sort of sport.
So let's take that
So
house that
then,
you just offered on. It was somewhere in this
yeah,
neighborhood, somewhere in this area here. Are they
yeah.
coming over here, straight here to the beach? Where do they go to the beach?
Yeah, so there's only two ways out to the beach, which you see where it says 64 and 684. Those go right out to the beach. And then this land that you can kind of see open where there's not a lot of population or not a lot of houses, just below the 684. Yep. So right to the bottom right, it says IMG Academy.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, that house that I'm selling is, basically just north of here.
I
So
see.
we'll see a lot of people want to position themselves somewhere between IMG and the beaches.
And these beaches
So
are, oh, what does the beach look like?
it's
Is it
beautiful.
gorgeous beach?
It's beautiful. So yeah, so out on the island at the very northern tip of where you're looking now is Anna Maria Island, which is usually ranked, number one or two beaches in the United States. It is beautiful.
Am I going to
The
buy
couple
out
of
there?
Yeah, so we have had people buy out there. It's definitely a different buyer because um, we don't really see stuff cash flow out there because they're millions and millions of dollars. But people that are trying to offset taxes or they want what they want, yes,
Okay, so this is upscale. This whole entire little
yeah,
chunk here.
yep.
Yeah, and you do
Pretty much
hear
all of that whole island, even Anna Maria. So there's Anna Maria Island, Bradenton Beach, Holmes Beach, um, that whole area.
and explain it to me like I've never been there. Is it upscale? Are the restaurants very nice and high end?
So there are nice restaurants. I kind of have you been like to Clearwater or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's
Okay.
pretend I haven't.
Yeah. So, typically I'll compare this to Clearwater because most people have been to Clearwater Beach. This whole area on these beaches, it is very old school Florida. So there's little shops and restaurants. It is like old school, like flip-flops and
Mm.
very casual, nothing super fancy. No buildings there are allowed to be over 4 stories. So you don't have that big commercial feel. Where Clearwater is the complete opposite. Clearwater is big skyscrapers and, crazy stuff like that. But this doesn't feel touristy.
And do we come down this chunk here to the beach as well?
Yeah. So the dividing line between Manatee County and Sarasota kind of happens in between here, basically right where you see where it says Longboat Key and
Mm.
over. And then there's different rules and regulations for Sarasota than there are Manatee County. So traditionally, we have just stuck to Bradenton because it is the most friendly of the whole area that we cover. So, uh, we also cover north, kind of where you're going up to Clearwater. But there's a lot of rules and regulations there. There's 20, I think 24 different municipalities up there, and they all have their own rules and regulations. And so there's been changes in the last few months there. And so that whole area up there in Clearwater, Small Largo, um, a little bit tougher to navigate, but still areas and little pockets that are short-term rental friendly.
And meaning difficult to get a permit.
Yeah, not necessarily difficult to get a permit, but they're capping houses. You have two people per person in a bedroom and then two people in a common area. So if you had a 3 bedroom, you could sleep 8. But once you get into the bigger, so 4 bedroom, you would be able to sleep 10. But then even if you had a 5 bedroom or a 6 bedroom, they've capped those at 10. So then that just started. So definitely making it a little bit harder. on
But
us, I
but do
guess.
they shoot you down? In other words, is there a limited number
No,
of
you're
permits?
still, yeah, no, all the areas here you can still get a permit.
I see. Okay. Yeah, that's very similar to where we are. Where we are,
Yeah.
well, where I live, I should say. Where I live, it's three per bedroom. So a four bedroom is going to be
Okay.
12.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
Yeah. So in Bradenton, the part that falls under Manatee County, there's no rules or regulations.
I see. And what about Siesta Key? This is mostly condos and a little bit difficult.
Yeah, so it's mostly condos. There are some single family houses, but that area, some of it overlaps the city of Sarasota and some is the county. And so the city of Sarasota is a 7-day restriction and the county is a 30-day. So that would make you or break you. We typically don't sell that much in Sarasota just because of that. With the 7-day restriction, we don't see stuff cash flow there anymore.
That's even on
Um,
single families.
yeah.
Okay.
And
And
condos here are hard now because of like the assessments and stuff like that.
I see. So most people are looking in Bradenton.
Yes. So tradition, they might call me and they say, "Oh, we want to bring Clearwater." Well, technically, Clearwater, is not short-term rental friendly unless it's unincorporated Pinellas County. And so there's a little bit more navigating, but then I'm like, you start kind of digging into the numbers and they're similar, but then Bradenton doesn't have any rules and regulations. And so that's traditionally where people have gone.
And are you seeing some of these new style folks that are like just strictly investors, the pickleball people, like in other words, they've never been there, don't care about anything, they just want to hear numbers. Are you seeing those people?
Yeah. So we started to see like STR cribs, like Yankee, all of those, they are heavily vested in the Clearwater area. And now they are kind of getting their feet wet into the Bradenton market. So we're seeing those, I think of, well, it's just bigger investors. A lot of the data
Doesn't that
people
tend
are
to dry
selling
things
there.
up pretty quickly? Like don't they kind of suck up all the deals
Yeah. So
and then move on?
I think that that's a little bit of what's happening because anytime, and I kind of started saying this off before we were on camera, is anything with a big backyard almost, it doesn't even matter what the inside looks like to them.
Huh.
And so they're just buying it because
But
the
they're
big
making their
backyard and
money
they're
off
like,
of selling you the backyard is the problem there, right? Like so
yeah. So that's
yeah.
really what's been happening. So and then anything bigger than, a four, well, anything bigger than a 3 bedroom. So um because the income, like John and I have a 4 bedroom with pickleball and it's already over 200,000 gross.
But you're not the average bear.
Yeah, I mean we're not, we own six. We have some with pickleball and some without just because of the yards. And there is a huge difference, but those big data people, they know the difference.
Yeah, I see. So this one that we had an offer on, this sounds very appealing. How often does a deal like that pop
Yeah.
up?
I would say pretty often. I mean, probably not at 470, but we'll typically see them in the low 500s. So I mean, if you're an investor or you're doing your first one, I think it's a great strategy. And even not even really a starter property, I guess. But you can find a 3-2 full house in apparently 470, but usually we'll see them in the 500s, low 500s.
Okay. And what about this is an area that I'm in love with. Do you see that? Like this is a second home type of a thing. What draws me to the area if I'm looking for a second home?
Yeah, so really the beaches. I mean, the beaches are the top thing, um, and then the IMG Academy is the other. We have an airport here, an hour north of Tampa, or sorry, an hour south of Tampa. So, it's easy for most of the people to come airplane.
Okay. And Orlando folks, Fort Myers folks, these people are maybe buying second homes in the area to get away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All
Yeah.
right. So I'm a new investor and I like your area. What do I need to have success?
So, one thing that you have to have here is a pool. So I would say that you
Now, do they
definitely
all
have to
come
have a
with a
pool.
pool?
So no, but we have had people buy houses without pools and build pools. So, right now it's hard because, pool probably takes 4 to 6 months. So, people that are buying, trying to get ready before the end of the year probably aren't going to hit that without a pool, but we have had multiple buyers put in their own pool. They, weren't really seeing what they liked in the market that had pools, or they didn't like the pool itself. And they're like, what, I love this house. I know it doesn't have a pool, but we will build one.
I'm going through that right now, actually, on a home I've owned for quite a while, and the pool is annoying. It's a liner, and
Okay.
I didn't even know that was a thing, honestly, when I first bought it. And it turns out
Yeah.
that it's a pain in the rear end. And at one point, I had a guest. I think they took the umbrella in the pool and like basically were like standing on the umbrella or something, and they poked
Oh, jeez.
11 holes in the bottom of the liner with the. It looked exactly like an umbrella hole.
Yeah.
So that was that was a lot of fun. Not that big a deal. It really wasn't that big a deal. I just had to get the pool guy
Yeah.
over there and he patched the holes up. And then really it was just a waste of water. Um, and then all that
Gotcha.
water, flowing out underneath your pool is not good for the structure. But I'm ripping it out. I have my calendar blocked right now, actually, November 17 for 4 months, whatever it is. So we're going to dig the whole thing out. And it's funny because you think, oh, there's already a hole there. It's not that big a deal, but that actually makes it more work.
More work. Yeah.
They have to dig out
Yeah.
like around the entire thing and then bring dirt in and put a new hole basically that fits the
Yeah.
new pool. And yeah, it's actually more work to replace one than it is to start from scratch. I never would have thought that, but it's my second time now. But yeah, not on the same house, but anyway. Okay, so we got to have a pool. I'm cool with that. Got to have a pool. Anything weird with the
Yeah.
pools? You got to have a fence around the pool, an alarm around the pool for the pool.
So traditionally you'll see, I'm saying it's probably 50-50 of what people do. Some will have the little fences around the pool. Some will have like the big screened in lanai in addition to that.
Like
But
Disney
then you'll
style.
see some, yeah, yeah. And then you see some that have nothing. Like John and I removed all of our pool cages. And what we found is that it photographs better and people can picture themselves in there. We'll get a lot of questions on Airbnb of people asking, like, what is this thing around your pool? Like, we've never seen this before. Oh, okay. Um, so you'll see 50-50. You'll see, the lanais around the pool, 50-50, and then children's safety net, around the pool too. And then we, obviously here, which is probably similar to where you are, you have to have all of the safety alarms and stuff like that.
On the back door.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the current market, just some nuggets on what's going on out there. A little bit more on days on market. You mentioned that one was on the market for 20 days. That seems, you think that's, I did a brief AI and I couldn't come up with the days on market for your market, but it's 20 high. Nation standard right now, I believe, is 60-ish. The last I checked, I could be way off on that, but I looked yesterday. I want to say it was 60 days on market nationwide. Of course, that's going to be mostly primary homes anyway, but
Right.
what are we looking
So
at?
I feel like it's so dependent on the house itself. I could give me a second. I will tell you what the average date is. Um, on houses, what we do see is, HOAs here don't allow short-term rentals. So we will see standard HOA houses definitely sit longer. But it is also so house dependent. A lot of houses here that need work will sit for, and that's probably everywhere, they'll sit a lot longer. But houses that are either rent ready or an existing short-term rental, or have good bones usually go days. I would say days. So, but overall, it looks like overall Manatee County as a whole, it's this says average days are 90, but a lot of that it's pulling is the HOA houses.
And how many would you say, in other words, when a house pops up on the market, what are the chances it's an HOA house? 50%, give or take? I mean, just make a number up, but
So it just will depend on the area. So the area that we traditionally look for is zip code 34209. There's not tons of HOA houses in there. So I could probably narrow down, how many for sale currently in that zip code versus a zip code, that's strong HOAs. Um, but for the most part, we will see stuff in HOAs sit a lot longer.
and what kind of offers are we making? Are we going under asking? Are we going under asking based on how many days on market and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so again, I think it's super house dependent. We've seen things go over list. We've seen multiple offers still. Like if it is a good house with the backyard, it's 100% going to go multiple offers. Um, if it's just a standard 3-2, I mean, we are seeing people get credits. We are asking for closing costs here still. Um, and so it's very house dependent. So we would never write an offer with a credit if it was day one on the market. I mean, that's gonna happen here.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
are we more often than not offering the first day on the market, or are we better off offering on something that's been sitting for a month?
I think you're gonna get a better deal, something that's been sitting for a month.
Yeah. And again, we're
Yeah.
obviously this is going to change dramatically based on this is we're in the fall of 25 right now, and and interest rates just went down, so who knows? We may have some more changes coming.
Right.
But I agree. I, there was just such a long period of time where we were almost programmed to offer on the house that just went on the market, and now I think that that's a fairly bad idea. And it sounds like your market's moving a little more than average. But where
Yeah.
I'm at, for instance, in the northwest corner of Florida, I mean, these sellers, I mean, a lot of these have been for sale for like a year, and it's very not uncommon for a year to be on market. And that seller has taken some punches and finally getting to the point where maybe he's actually ready to sell, and he's realizing that the price that he's trying to get was his neighbor's COVID price, which is maybe not realistic anymore. And when they first go on the market, they don't realize that sellers are just weird people, aren't they? They're just weird.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm noticing that when they first come on market, they're trying to get that COVID price that their neighbor got, and it does take several punches to get them to realize. Although
Okay.
maybe not quite as dramatic, it sounds like not as a big of a swing in your market.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, agree with that.
Okay, cool. And financing, just regular loans most of the time, maybe some DSCRs. What do we
Yeah,
do?
we see a lot of DSCRs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else that we need to cover?
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like our market of Bradenton as a whole has been, we've been on a lot of the list of where, 2025 best cities to buy and all of those things. I feel like you've either heard it and you came down here with your grandparents like in the 90s or something. And, so they're like, oh, I've heard of Bradenton. I haven't been there. My grandparents had a second house there or something. But over the last 2 years, it's definitely been on like AirDNA's list. I think we're 23 out of 25. So it's definitely becoming more popular here, to buy or to be known as a short-term rental market. Again, it's super easy to access here. We have a local Sarasota airport. We have Tampa, which is an hour north of here. So we get a lot of Midwesterners here. Even like coming to our vacation houses, a lot of Midwesterners will come. So overall, a good market you can fly to. We have our seasonality here. I don't know how it compares to other markets, but our number one month is March, which is more of like a snowbird, somebody that flew here, somebody that's coming with, their whole family and multi-generational families. And then our second month is June, which is crazy to me because it's 100 degrees outside, but the vacationer that's coming here is somebody that already lives in Florida and they're driving. So we've got a lot of people from Miami, a lot of people from Jacksonville, Orlando, even up by you guys, people will come down here in June, which is just crazy.
And what about the winter? What about, November, December, January, February?
Yeah, so those are all good. I would say, at our personal houses that we have, I would say we're 70% occupied from, I always call it snowbird season, which is traditionally for us Thanksgiving to Easter. November, December, January, we are 70% booked or more, and then February basically to July.
And
Like
what
a
about
hundred percent. Yeah, like a
September,
hundred percent.
August,
Yeah.
September? What's that look like?
September, August is really slow.
Okay.
So we'll always tell our buyers, like, depending on where you are, seasonality, like in a perfect world, like try to buy June and July, you're closing in August or something, buy during those lower months to where you're, not capturing 20 grand a month or something, you're not losing out on that revenue. Basically buy in, June, July, August, fix it up during September, October, and then be ready to go for Thanksgiving.
Wonderful. All right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All
I'm,
right.
I'm gonna somehow challenge you to like a pickleball game. I've never played myself.
I like it.
It
It's fun. It is really hard. It's much harder than it
is
looks.
hard. It is hard. We have one son and he's 5, and we go to the houses, and we actually just put in this crazy amenity. We're the first one to do it here in Bradenton, and we put in a splash pad, which I thought he would love. Like we used to go to the park and we would go to we would go to the splash pad, and no, he wanted to play pickleball and go in the pool.
Nice. Yeah.
He was like, "No, I just want to go in the pool."
I also have a 5-year-old son, and it is the greatest
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
ever. Like, well,
yeah.
neck and
Such a
neck with
fun
his
age.
sister.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So
wonderful.
very cool.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. Christina at theshorttermshop.com, theshorttermshop.com, and stsplus.com. And thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.